Right, okay, welcome back to the channel. This is Keith at Crypto Bullseye, and I've got a special guest with me today. It's Brandon from the Boring Passive Income Dad.
What's going on? I'm so excited to be on the channel. It's good to finally be here. We've been talking about it for a while now and kind of mention each other's channels. So I'm glad we were able to make it a collaboration.
Yeah, it's going to be more of a regular thing. Myself, Brandon, and Jellico at Crypto Grit. So we're going to be doing a lot of things together. So stay tuned for that. But it's just going to be a casual chat and introduction to Brandon and what it is that Brandon does and how our channels are going to be working together. So first and foremost, what is it that you do on your channel?
That's a great question. So I talk about a lot of different things. From when I first started getting into crypto. Well, first it was fitness because I was a personal trainer, made a lot of money, started investing in real estate. So when I was a young tyke, I was into fitness and sports, and so my whole life I played sports, and then got into fitness. A girlfriend of mine at the time was like, "Hey, why don't you become a personal trainer?" I was like, "That sounds like a great idea. I'll do that." And so I got into fitness, made a lot of money, started investing in real estate, got up to 10 rental units, moved to Texas, and then gave up my fitness business because I was bored of it. Started a YouTube channel and got into crypto and started talking about crypto. Was here during the bull run of last bull run and been in it. Was playing a lot of play to earn games. So Axie Infinity was a huge thing. Big Time was a game we were investing in. A lot of Splinter Cells or
Lands, yeah.
Splinter Lands. That's what it was. God, there were so many, just millions and millions of NFTs that we got, and so got into that. And now I just pretty much talk about just finance and just about my life. So like right now, I'm growing some mushrooms, and not the psychedelic mushrooms, just the more of the nootropic mushrooms for cognitive health, and just talk about my life now. So that's kind of what I do on my YouTube channel.
That's a great story, Brandon. I've seen your content, absolutely top notch, and I know that you're there just to help people. So the same as me, and that's why we're going to fit in well. So I'll tell you my story as well. So my background, financial services. I've been in financial services for the last 20 years. That's specifically marine trade insurance. So that's from an underwriting perspective. And that's where my risk factor comes in. Because of my underwriting, all it is just risk. It's risk and it's risk and it's calculated risk. So when I come into the bull run at back end of 2020, I was very, very, very minimal as far as my capital exposure of crypto was concerned, my own capital was concerned. And you're talking the hundreds of pounds and not the thousands of pounds. So as I progressed my career within crypto, as I dabbled into crypto during 2021, or back end of 2020 into 2021, I was very limited as far as my investments are concerned. Very limited, that we're talking hundreds of pounds and not thousands. And I did well in 2021. I done really well in 2021. But one thing that was my sticking point in 2021 is I was watching all these magic influencers like BitBoy Crypto that were telling me the price action is going to go to 300,000. It's going to happen on the 14th of September 2021. That's what's going to happen. Bear market's going to start. And I thought, this bloke's an absolute genius. I need to learn this. And the more that I delved into it and the more that I learned into it, the more I realized that he wasn't a genius. And other people can do this. You could do it yourself. And I always teach people, or I always tell people on my channel, that understanding a price chart is one of the most important tools that you will ever learn. It's an important skill for self-development. And by understanding how to read a price chart and by delving into trading and trading psychology, it's turned out to be a journey of self-discovery. So I've learned more about myself over the last 3 or 4 years than I have throughout the whole of my life. So I've got crypto to thank about that. It's obviously innovative. There's a message behind crypto that we're all excited about, and that's the decentralization element of it. We all know what happens to fiat and inflation. We all know what happens to Bitcoin and deflation. Cancel each other out. You're going to start seeing Bitcoin in people's pensions. You're going to start seeing Bitcoin become more mainstream. This is why we're in it. This is why we've seen it 4 years ago. And this is why we jumped into something that we absolutely believe in. That was a bit of a rant from me there, Brandon.
No, I love it. I love the enthusiasm. So we have, I'm a different mindset. I love crypto, and I think that a lot of people in the crypto space are big enthusiasts about crypto. For me, I was very big into crypto. I'm not as big into crypto anymore. The reason being is I've been in the last bull run and understanding concepts and that sort of thing. and just manipulation and that sort of thing. For me, it's just as when you get to a certain point of wealth accumulation, you start learning that the things you invest in are things that you can borrow against. And so the reason why I find that crypto is being mass adopted is because of the ability to borrow against it. And if you're able to borrow against it, then you're able to buy more assets. And you can probably know this as an underwriter and understanding risk. There are people that are very risk aversive, and they don't want any risk or risk off like yourself, and they don't want to take on the debt that could cause financial stress or headache or bankruptcy or all the other things. There's another mindset, and obviously this is all on a spectrum because there's not just the left and there's the right. There's everything in the middle, and you need to understand your risk tolerance. But there are people that will take on risk and take on leverage and keep borrowing against it. And so, like for me, when I was getting into real estate, we bought one rental property, and it was a single family house. And that was like the hardest property to get into because it's like your first, right? And then we bought a second property, and that was a little bit easier because we know the process. Banks are going to be lending to us because they see that we have 1 year of property management behind us and that sort of thing. And we got our third property, and that was a 4-unit, and we're able to borrow against what the appreciation in the one house and pull out the equity and put that into another house with some of our own equity. And so that got us up to 6 units. And then I like to say, if you buy 3 properties, you get 1 free. And so we were able to borrow against all of our equity in all those properties and pull out and buy the last one without any money out of pocket. And so that's really high leverage, essentially. And so the reason why I think that Bitcoin's being adopted is because of, one, liquidity in the market. There's much more liquidity. And so if there's liquidity, then there is money to be taken out of that liquidity. And so it's being able to borrow against Bitcoin or Ethereum. And just like you can with stocks, and just like you can with cash out refinances in business with lines of credit, Bitcoin is another tool for the wealthy to allow us to borrow against and build more wealth.
Yeah, certainly got a pool of liquidity attached to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's the major. I think that's one of the major things I love about Bitcoin is there's multiple trains of thought and there are multiple ways to use it. So for me, as an investor, I can borrow against and buy other assets. You as a trader, there is liquidity in it, so you can take your gains that you've made in your day and use it to buy your everyday. We were just talking off the air. I used to buy things like just off the internet because you didn't know like how it all worked. So we'll talk about that. That was actually a pretty interesting story about how you got into the whole crypto aspect of it, of buying a piece of digital currency, spending it online, and then it started raising in value, and then you started learning and adopting and adjusting and molding your own trading strategy. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, well, that was the start of it. That was before I'd even looked at a price chart, and there was an app on the Play Store, and it was an app to buy Bitcoin. It was during lockdown, so we were all in lockdown at the time, and people were buying all sorts of shit on the internet with Bitcoin and crypto. So it's something that I was bored. I was playing with it, and yeah, I had it in this wallet. I think the wallet charged me about 20% or something every time that I'd done a transaction, and it paid for itself because the price just went up more than 20% the day after. And I didn't understand what it was. It was just a thing that I bought in an app, magic internet money. And,
right.
And it just kept going up in value. I was buying stuff with it, and I was buying stuff with it, and I was looking at how much was in there the next day, and there was more in there than what it was the day before I was buying stuff. So thinking, well, how is this working? How is it doing this? And I was buying little bits of more with a 20% premium attached to it as well. But we were only talking small scale, Brandon. We're only talking buying little bits on the internet of stuff with Bitcoin kind of thing. And this is where I first got into it. So I didn't understand what it was. As far as I was concerned, it was a digital ledger that was attached to an app on my phone. I can't even remember what the app was. And it was just holding an amount of however many Satoshis were in there. So I didn't understand what I was getting into. And that's when I started delving in a little bit deeper and delving in a little bit deeper. And the more that I started understanding, the more I wanted to know. And when I want to know something, I'm obsessive with it. I just carry on educating myself and educating myself. And I think that you can never educate yourself enough. You can never be a master at anything. You're always going to be able to learn something extra. And that's one of the reasons, Brandon, that I think that this group's going to be good with myself, you, and Jellicoe. We've all got our own benefits. We've all got our own advantage. Right. Bring something to the table for our communities and help each other along the way. There's people now that were in my position during 2020 that are buying an app. Right. And buying things on their phone, and they'll see that price is going up or price is going down. And there's people that are in my position now from 4 years ago when I was in that position. And if we can help them eliminate 2 years of training, eliminate 2 years of learning yourself and learning the hard way yourself, then that's going to be a benefit for me, because teaching them how to understand price action is my goal. I want them to understand if something's fair value. It's all well and good saying you can dollar cost average, you can put $20 in on Saturday, and then the following Saturday, $20, and then the following Saturday is $20. And I say, why not stick $40 in at support, wait for a couple of weeks till it hits support again, stick $40 in support again. I call it dollar cost averaging on steroids. And these are just little things that you can do when you don't understand how to trade, when you want to position yourself for the on-risk bull run. So it's all about risk, risk off within the market. And you do have the 4-year cycles, and regardless of what anybody says about super cycles and this, that, and the other, the markets have 4-year cycles. And it's not just the crypto markets, and it's not just Bitcoin, and it's halving built in. It's traditional markets as well. It goes in line with presidential elections. It goes in line with risk off inflation. It goes with risk on and inflation, and it goes with a lot of things as far as what's happening in the economy is concerned, whether we're in a recession. It all goes hand in hand with each other. And the more that you understand macroeconomics, the more you understand crypto, the more you understand macroeconomics, the more it pisses you off, because the system's a little bit of a scam, to be honest with you. And every time that they print that money, they're taking money out of people's savings, they're taking money out of people's pockets. And this is why we're in the game, Brandon. Yeah, no, it's a 100%. I mean, if you don't understand the macroeconomics and you don't follow trends and you don't understand, if Elon Musk decides to tweet about Doge, what that could do for the price or what it cannot do for the price. So you have to understand a lot of, and you have to just know that since there is not a lot of there is a lot of liquidity. There's $2.something trillion, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot of liquidity in certain tokens. So having and understanding when news breaks, that's going to have huge fluctuations in price. And you're not going to see like the stock market. I mean, when the stock market goes up 2% in a day, 3% in a day, people lose their minds. But when Bitcoin does that in an hour, it's like, just another day. And so understanding that there is much more price fluctuations in crypto, and you have to understand that. And I think that's why it's so important that you talk and you do understanding risk and risk tolerance and risk on, risk off, and all that stuff. I think that a lot of people just don't understand money is the major thing, is that they don't understand it's a tool to get things done faster, not just the currency. So, all sorts of, you have to understand how money moves and how money works. So. Yeah, that's important. I mean, just as an example, and it wasn't as bad here, Brandon, it was quite bad here, but during the COVID crisis, the pandemic crisis, during an 18-month period, the US printed 40% more dollars into circulation. And that's the kind of thing that annoys me with fiat currency, because then people that have got pensions that have worked all their life just had 40% taken off them. And they don't know it. They might get a little pay rise with their pensions, and they might be happy that their monetary terms going up, but their actual buying power has gone so far down. They've worked all their life for that. They might have savings. They might have $100,000 worth of savings. That could be their retirement pot. Now it's only worth $60,000 within an 18-month period, and they can do that to people. It goes back all the way to the Roman times. It goes back when they were coin clipping. It goes back to, it's a historic thing. But the way that the system works now, it's not as apparent what it is that they're actually doing. They're clipping those coins.
Well, I mean, you have to think of the psychology of money and control and power. And so, like, I always say, like, there's a kind of a tier system. It's first it starts off where you need money, and once you have enough money, then it's power or influence. And once you have that, then it's just control. And so once you have all the power, all the influence, and all the money, there's nothing more for you to do but to control people. And so that's essentially what it comes down to is they don't teach how to make money in how to start a business, how to do your taxes, how, all these tangible skills in school, because if they, and this is what lobbyists do, is they spend all this money so that it's not taught in schools. Is because if you were taught these things in schools, then you would essentially be going against the system or not be a good worker bee. And if you're not a good worker bee, then you're not able to support the economic growth of the economy, all of these things. So governments set up systems to keep people in line and so that they keep working so that they essentially keep the system going. And so it's not taught because they don't want you to know. They want you to stay poor so you keep working, so you keep making the economy wealthy. I mean, governments are just big businesses. They're not anything else. They're meant to keep us enslaved.
Yeah.
And so I think that if you understand how inflation works, it's actually a good thing for assets. And that's why inflation happens, is because it increases. I mean, I live in Texas, and I was just driving. I think me and my wife, and I was like, damn. And I've done it when we lived in California too. We would be driving. I was like, damn, there is just so much land here, and the houses are sky high. I mean, we have a beautiful house. It's worth a lot, but there's no reason why. Like, there's plenty of land. Like, you can live anywhere, but it's controlled. So they want you to think things are scarce and all this thing, but people don't want to build their own houses either. So it's like, there's it's a crazy racket. So you got to play the game, and if you play the game and you know how it works, then you can make a lot of money. Is what it comes down to.
I'm just smiling because, like, literally everything you said, you've hit the nail on the head. As far as the macroeconomics are concerned, they don't teach it in schools. That's the reason why they don't teach it in schools. If everyone understood, everyone would rebel against it. And that's why when you do understand it, and the more that you delve into it, you're looking for that different system. And we've been fortunate that Bitcoin absolutely does the reverse of what fiat monetary system does. So you've got that deflationary asset built in, and we can probably end it here, but we've got the deflation asset built in. And when you've got, just for example, the dollar, where you've got 40% more in circulation, you've got 10% more in circulation, quantitative easing is going to start just before the presidential election. So you're going to start with the quantitative easing process. All that is just a posh word for we're going to print more money. So you can go through times of quantitative easing, which is fine, it's good, and we'll put more money into the economy, and then you get to times where it's really bad to print money. It's really bad. You shouldn't vote him. It's really bad printing money. Right. So you go through these times where it's all right when they say it's all right. It's not all right when they don't say it's all right. It's up to them. And that's the problem, isn't it? It's up to them. It's when they decide to print the money. Whereas Bitcoin, who's going to print more money with Bitcoin?
Right. Well, and what like we said, we'll end it with this, and I urge your viewers to like and subscribe because there's going to be a big change. But I'll leave a question to the viewers, so to speak. So you talk about quantitative easing, and I remember people getting paychecks of what was it, like $2,500 or something like that. So we didn't qualify, but I don't remember exactly what it was. But is that ushering in a test program for universal universal basic income. And with the amount of AI and robotics coming in that replaces jobs, is universal basic income going to usher in? Don't answer it. We'll save that for the next time when the viewers can chime in, and we'll have the viewers have some of their responses in the comments so we can bring it up next show. But thank you so much, Keith, for having me. It's been a pleasure. I know you have your wife's birthday today, so I don't want to keep you too long. And again, it's been a pleasure. So anything you want to end it with?
I'll say happy birthday to my girlfriend, Becky. Happy birthday, Becky. And you can check out her channel, Beck's Fashion and Nails. Probably the people that are watching this are probably not going to want to watch the nail channel, but it's there. Happy birthday to Becky. Thank you very much for being on here. I've had a blast, and the next one's going to be great. I can already tell. So I look forward to it, mate.
Awesome. I'm excited. Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
See you, mate.
Peace.